AskReddit by Shaman Ka Shaman Taka. What is a TV show you got really far into but eventually quit watching before its conclusion? Arrow. Got tired of the main character flip-flopping from season to season. Felt he was hypocritical when he killed people in the first season and then hunted down people doing the same thing he did in the next, only for him to go back to kill people in the following season. I got so far with all the Arrowverse shows and then they all slowly became like a teen drama with Power Ranger budget fight scenes. Once upon a time. Can't even remember where I got to. Seriously. The first season was so incredible, beautiful storytelling, deep characters, and then it just never recovered the original feel of season 1. I stopped at some point and have rewatched season 1 a few times but never finished the series. I got 18 seasons into Grey's Anatomy before I got irredeemably bored. That's probably the biggest sunk cost here. Edit. Made it halfway through season 18. Didn't keep watching after the second half resumed. I'll return when Zola is an intern. Pretty Little Liars. That shit got too confusing for 16-year-old me. It was too confusing because they made an omnipotent being who was in 1000 places at the same time with unlimited resources lol. Grey's Anatomy. How much trauma can a group of doctors go through, sheesh. That's one of the biggest things that irks me. The first hospital shooting in season 6, I think, was pretty intense. By the third or fourth brain tumor, explosion, fire, terrorist bomb or whatever, it's just sloppy. Riverdale. I think it's still on. I got really into it and then just dropped it like a hot rock right about when Sweet Pea came along. Also, I was so convinced that Sweet Pea would introduce Popeye eventually and that Pop's diner was some kind of portal and it would all be revealed they were in a comic book. I think I might have had too high expectations. Well, I guess you'll never experience the epic highs and lows of high school football. The Blacklist was great until they ran out of ideas and just kept recycling the same plot over and over. The little guy from the DMV becoming a major player was the sign the end was near. The Blacklist fell apart because the entire theme was that there are machinations going on behind the scenes that tie everything together and the only one with insight into what that is Reddington. At some point, the writing became too much, making it up as we go, and the illusion of an overarching machination started to fall apart, and so did the entire draw of the show. Falling Skies. I actually enjoyed it but it moved channels and then I forgot about it. I stopped watching when the aliens put everyone into Nazi re-education camps. That could have been an interesting take on the alien invasion trope but they introduced it too late. Shows have to have an internal logical consistency for me, and this was at least the third hard left the show did because it kept getting new showrunners. After that I just lost interest. Walking Dead. For sure. It never went anywhere. I wanted a conclusion, a solution, something new that wasn't killing and fighting other people. I wanted smart solutions, but they never arrived. My favorite bit was when they went to the place that was safe but it turned out it wasn't safe and all the zombies came along and that. Suits. I really liked it to begin with. Soundtrack was a cracker. But it just turned into a soap opera, too much focus on the Rachel Mike thing. It was so good when it was two genius lawyers do the case of the week while dealing with the big secret. Orange is the New Black and The Walking Dead. And Piper just got so unbearable to watch. Sis, I don't think it will ever end. Sis is so weird to me because it's lost almost its entire cast and somehow still goes on. Like even Mark Harmon finally left. How is that still a show? Shameless. I watched most of it and liked it, but don't recall finishing it. There's only so much wanton self-destruction that I can stomach, and that show hit my limit well before it wrapped. How to Get Away with Murder. I considered quitting after Wes was out, but I stuck through it. It was okay. just okay. The storylines became less and less realistic and it kinda felt like they were just trying to see how much shit could hit the fan before wrapping up. Viola Davis is a goddess, though. Heroes, writers strike, yada yada yada. That first season was so bomb though. Castle showrunners pushed it a season too long, pissed off one of the two leads and most of the fandom, then tried to write the lead out in the most horrific way possible before it was taken behind the barn and put out of its misery. I got to the start of season 8 and just bailed. And X200B. Supernatural, post season 5 was just aimless and lost me about season 7. Castle should have ended at the wedding. They should have gotten married and everyone lives happily ever after. You can even sort of make this canon if you turn the show off while he's still driving to it. Walking Dead, missed an episode so I never watched it again. I watched way too long before I realized it felt like a chore to watch. I gave up after that and haven't missed it at all. House of Cards. Well before the spacey shit, but that was definitely the nail in the not finishing this coffin. The show was a lot more interesting when he and Claire were conniving their way to the presidency. When they succeed, it just turns into this half-baked international politicking thing and I hated that they drove a wedge between Frank and Claire. Their sick relationship was the show for me. The 100. Problem with this show is that they didn't let enough time lapse before letting them back to Earth. 100 years and society collapsed so much that they believe in a new weird god and have all these traditions for doing certain things and everyone is on board. 1k years, sure, 100 years post space flight with all the tech they had and what, everyone just forgot and then started speaking their own made up languages. True Blood, it got so confusing. It was far too much effort to keep watching. It's easier to swallow if you accept it for being campy as fuck early on, and realize Bill Sicky are the lamest part of the show. Sicken. RAM. Vampyrre. We are not the same. Heroes, ugh, what a waste. True Blood. I loved that show so much. But season 5 just got weird and apparently it got even worse after. Those first 3/4 seasons are still great though. Walking Dead, watched until around S5 or so. Right when Negan was showing up I tapped out. I was already barely caring about the show after S4. Eventually I realized this isn't going to get better lol, so I just stopped. I heard some bits about shit that happens after I stopped and I just laughed and was glad I stopped. The show had an amazing S1. Imo. Very good. S2 and S3 were not as good but okay enough to watch. But it just devolved from there. Yeah, same for me. The height of the series was during the prison arc with the Governor Imo. After the governor destroyed the prison and the zombies overran it, it was more of the same again, and I stopped watching it. Once John Leguizamo started operating on a monkey I had to step away and wonder what else I could do with my time. Supernatural lol. I fell off after the Darkness arc. Just couldn't do it anymore. Even the nostalgia factor wore off lol. It fell off for me too, but I just had to finish it after so much I have seen. It was hard for them to invent new shit cause we have seen it all. The Yellow Demon storyline was prob the best cause of the mystery. That 70s show. I hated Randy and the show was just not the same without Eric and Kelso. Randy's existence was trash. If they had to force the series to continue, they should have just focused on the remaining cast and their time with Kelso and Eric. Even though logically the series should have ended with everyone splitting up for what is definitely the last time. But the series finale we got was great. Luckily Topher Grace and Ashton Kutcher returned, and they left Randy out of it. The Mentalist, Weeds, Arrow, The Flash, Without a Trace, Big Bang Theory, plus a few more I'm forgetting about. My wife gives me crap because she's someone who needs to finish what show she started, but I have no problem dropping a show if I think it's turned to shit. Barry can only use the speed force to save his mum, not save his mum, save his mum, about 4 times before I gave up. Dexter. Started off incredible then just tapered out, getting worse every season. For me it died with his wife. She was his beacon of hope, that he could become a normal person. After she died that part of his character vanished and it was just how do I not get caught? Shameless. Same thing over and over again. Family member sees a path out of their problemed life, is doing great on said path, oh no something happened, back to square one, and then Frank shows up. Rinse and repeat. The Simpsons. Stopped watching around 2000. Here we are 20 plus years later and still going. I still faithfully watch the Treehouse of Horror episodes for nostalgia, but that's it.